All right, we're back for episode 2 of the Rehashables with my brother Matt. We made it 2 episodes, pal. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Here we are.
Who had the over-under as 1.5? But fired up to be talking TV and movies and what you've been watching this last month.
I'm reminded of that Paul Rudd meme where it's like, look at us.
Who would have thought we would have been here? Oh, not me.
Wow, 2 episodes.
Uh,
Crazy month, ending the summer. You know, life's so crazy. It's hard to watch as many things that I'd wanted to, but we got a good little list of things that we watched. So I'm looking forward to going over that stuff. But definitely crazy, excited. Kids are back in school. Marin's into her situation. Yeah, now we can get a little bit normal. Football season's here, so a lot of stuff to look forward to.
no, absolutely. We both talk about like childcare and really making it harder to watch things, obviously, over the month of August. But still found some, some good stuff to watch and some random stuff, some things that kind of is water cooler talk right now that kind of other people are talking about. But it was a fun month. So,
okay. So as we are going to do moving forward, we are going to rehash those things that we've watched over the past month. That's why we are called the Rehashables, or this podcast is called the Rehashables. So why don't we just jump into the things that we've been watching? I know a couple of them for us are the same, a couple of them are different. So why don't I just follow you, Lee? What do you want? What's the thing that strikes you as like the thing that you watched in the past month?
the thing that I watched in the past month that I kind of have been telling everyone, asking everyone, have you watched this? If not, you should watch this. It was Hijack on Apple TV. It's the Idris Elba show, again, on Apple TV. I know last month you had a bunch of their shows, but you were kind of telling me about it and you were diving in last month. And it's one of those shows that, like, it's really tough to just watch one episode. The way each one ends, they're all cliffhangers and stuff, but really kind of got my adrenaline going. So you explained it to me. So why don't you kind of, what is Hijack about?
So I'm sure you can tell by the title of the show, it has something to do with the hijacking on the plane. So Idris Elba is just, you don't know too much about him going into the show. He's a negotiator, as you come to find out, and he's flying back from, I think it was Dubai, back to London after some business trip. And, there's a lot of stuff that's going on outside of the hijack plane. But, yeah, it really focuses on this hijacking that happens by a team of people. There's a lot to the story. Like I said, his family gets involved. Different air traffic controller people get involved. There's a lot of stuff on the ground going on. And it's a bigger story than just the hijacking, which I found to be very interesting. And that's kind of what kept me hooked in. It's not a huge commitment to watch it. 7 episodes. They all go by very fast. I think it's shot pretty well. Yeah. Right. Like, I think special effects are good. I think like the plane stuff looks good. It's all believable. And I'm kind of in, I think I told you this, on this character being a thing. Like, I could see them coming back for a second season on this. I don't know if they have any plans to. And, when you name something hijacked, I don't know if that shoehorns you into doing only hijackings, or this guy gets stuck on another hijacking. I don't know if that's possible or not, but I feel like you could put this guy into different situations and make a TV show around it.
Yeah. Well, first off, props to Idris Elba. That guy, he is so damn charismatic in the show. He's so cool. He's the man, and when he's on screen, he's really captivating. And kind of like, I'm trying to think of like other things that he's really been in, because I've known about him for years. I remember him being on The Office, which I don't know if you remember. He had a little character in The Office for a while with Steve Carell. Nope. He was awesome and hilarious in that show. But like, I haven't seen a ton of stuff that has him in it, but
he's in the Marvel universe, but like very secondary role.
Remember he was in Prometheus? Like,
yeah, God, I love that movie.
I know you love that movie.
He was one of the Dark Tower movies that they were trying to be a Stephen King remake of a series of books that he did called The Dark Tower. He was in that one. He was the main character. But he's like, I feel like he should be in more stuff than he is. And maybe that continues to move that direction.
He was kind of tied into, like, will he be the next James Bond kind of thing? You know what I mean? He's born 1972, so he's 51 years old, almost, 51 years old. Actually, his birthday's tomorrow, so happy birthday to Idris Elba.
Happy birthday, yeah, man.
I'm sure he's a big fan. One thing that really, I was watching the show, Heather watched this show too. Heather absolutely loved this show, so it's kind of a bar, because it's tough to kind of get us on exactly watching the same stuff, but she, we were up till 1 a.m. one morning watching like 4 episodes in a row, because we just could not stop watching it. But this show, to me, I don't know about you, but I was watching it, I couldn't stop thinking of 24 back in the day. It's such a 24
about this show. It's this 7 episodes takes place over 7 hours, each episode being an hour, just like 24. So it's very real time feeling that way. And yeah, you can't help but think of 24. No show has really done that since then, at least that I can remember. So that was a nice way to mix it up.
So yeah, I thought that was great, and it made you, kind of care about characters kind of on the plane, characters on the land who are trying to help. They did a good job kind of telling that story. And, even though you had a good idea of how it was going to end, it's fantastic how the last half hour, you're literally on the edge of your seat and your heart is racing. Yeah. So
I found it to be like, I don't want to say emotional, but like I like some of the last stuff in that last episode, I was just like, I was kind of invested in. So it was cool.
Definitely. And that was kind of, from what I've been reading or hearing from people, kind of the show of the summer. People have really been talking about that. Like you said, it's not a big commitment. It's just a great show, 7 episodes. It was awesome. Anything else you wanted to kind of say about it? Or?
Nope, just that, like you said, it's you want to just keep watching when you do it. It's an easy commitment. So if you're like, oh, what should I watch? Yeah, I think Hijack is a very easy thing to add to the top of your list as something to just binge over the course of a week.
Cool. Awesome. So we both had
that one. Yeah, we both definitely had that one. Okay. So it's going to be the ones that we had together. It's going to be very easy. But yeah, I loved it. So highly recommend.
Great. Awesome. So now I know we both kind of went, but why don't you go this time?
Yeah, I will. I'll hit the other thing that we both watched, or at least I believe that we both watched. I might have mentioned it even in last month's episode. But Quarterback, is that on the list?
Yeah. That was number 2 for me for things that I watched. So.
Yeah. So Quarterback is a documentary on Netflix that follows 3 quarterbacks, NFL quarterbacks, over the course of last season. And those 3 quarterbacks were Patrick Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, and Marcus Mariota. And this is something, I didn't even know this was happening. Yeah, like it was a pleasant surprise when this just kind of hits Netflix. I feel like that happens all the time with Netflix. You don't even realize what's coming, and oh, there's a doc on Netflix that has these 3 quarterbacks that cover them for the whole season. And, it's just like, wow, okay, that's great. I'll watch that. How many episodes is it? 6?
8 episodes.
8 episodes? That's a lot. Yeah,
it is.
That's a lot. Really dig in with these people, get a sense of what they're like behind the scenes. And if I wasn't fired up for football season before, I definitely was fired up after that.
Yeah, so you said it exactly right. This wasn't even on my radar. I knew nothing that this show was being filmed is happening. All of a sudden, it's just you're scrolling through Twitter or online or whatever, and you're just like, people are talking about quarterback, and it's like, what is this? So it was great. Anyone that loves like inside the NFL or mic'd up segments or stuff like that, this is unedited. By that I mean like them swearing, them getting fired up. It's very authentic feeling. And these are 3 quarterbacks who, obviously Mahomes, you kind of like, he had those years against the Patriots and versus Brady, and he's been so successful, so people are comparing him to Brady. So I was kind of always like, I'm not the biggest Mahomes guy kind of going into this. Same with Kirk Cousins. I have absolutely zero opinion of Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, it just seemed like a guy that couldn't get it done. And probably still is that, and he's the show is like one of the GOATs with Patrick Mahomes, then a very good, serviceable quarterback with Kirk Cousins, and then Marcus Mariota, who came in highly regarded, but it's tough to play quarterback in the league for a long period of time. He's more of a bottom tier quarterback at this point. So it was nice to have that mix.
But the point I was getting to is you watching this, and I'm like, I can't help but root for all 3 of them. You know what I mean? And it's weird to say, like, Mahomes, like, man, I got so much respect for that guy. And like, just watching last season, there's no spoilers. Anyone that watched football, that the season ended with him winning the Super Bowl. So good for the producers picking them and telling that story, because they got a home run.
Yeah, I like the other one. Sure.
But how he overcame like some injuries, and they were down a lot in the Super Bowl and came back and won. Like, this guy got it through so much, and he was just like, yeah, man, I love Mahomes. Like, obviously I'll see you rooting for the Pats.
Yeah.
Definitely really walked away with a whole level of respect for that guy.
Tough to not like him after you watch this. Because you do see how hard he works and how good he is. And honestly, with the way he fought through that ankle injury in the playoffs, in the AFC Championship, in the Super Bowl, it's unbelievable. I can't not love Mahomes. I think he's freaking awesome. He's so good at what he does. And it was cool to see his family. He has a daughter, and I think his son was born during the taping of this show. And he had a chance to see his wife a little bit, who's kind of a lightning rod, I think, for people, at least on Twitter. People give her all kinds of shit. And she does have a little thing about her, and I see why she brings some of it on. But even then, I still I liked her more after watching the show, and I got a little bit of a sense of what she was all about. And I think I might have told you before, like I did not realize she was an athlete herself, and how how good she was, how competitive she was, and you can kind of see how the way she supports Mahomes. You just get a little bit more in depth on her, and it makes sense a little bit more.
Yeah. So everyone knows about Patrick Mahomes. Guys, this is his second Super Bowl. He's gone to 3. He's always in the conversation every year. But I think the big winner of quarterback was Kirk Cousins. I absolutely loved Kirk Cousins. Right? Like I'm a big Vikings fan. I feel like, what I mean? Like, it's tough not to root for him and like him and kind of see him overcome some of the struggles that he were coming through in the season, because they made this show to show, Peyton Manning was behind it, just to show how hard it is to be an NFL quarterback and lead a team to success. And Cousins is going through these ups and downs all season. And it was very authentic and stuff to watch him and what he had to do.
I think one of the reasons he's the big winner is just because of that authenticity. And you just see what a good guy he is. He seems like a good person, a good husband, a good father. He seems to be a good leader. He takes his job very seriously. Smart guy.
Yeah.
And the fact that he hasn't had more success as a quarterback isn't maybe because he's not a good quarterback or because he's not smart enough to handle it. It's tough. It just shows how hard it is. He would get beaten up. I think they went 13-3 last year, and then they lose a game in the playoffs, and that's football. That's that any given Sunday mentality. I mean, it's hard to win in the NFL. It's hard to play quarterback, and I have a ton of respect for him after this show.
It was so good. So I hope this becomes a yearly thing. I know we don't talk much about Marcus Mariota. It was interesting to watch him. It wasn't the best story and stuff like that, but it was
tough ending of the season.
Yeah, exactly. So I heard they are doing a yearly thing. I mean, I heard a rumor, I don't know how true it is, that Joe Burrow is going to be on next season. And I love Joe Burrow, so I'm curious to see that. But a great thing, great to drop it at the beginning of August because, come July, you're not really thinking about football, but then when training camp happens, and in the last month, I can't get enough of the football stuff. So.
It was a show where it was like, I'm going to pause some of the other things that I'm watching and really dig into this. And I've told you before, I've mentioned on this podcast, Aubrey loves football. So she loved quarterback. She was all in on it. And it really makes me like these guys and is one of the reasons why I won't watch Hard Knocks. I don't want to like Aaron Rodgers. I don't want to like the Jets. And I know that if I watch Hard Knocks, I'll probably freaking like those guys. And it's just not happening. So I'm just good at liking those other two guys.
I hear you. So, awesome. So I'm glad. I think people have been watching that. So I think those are the two on our list. And I think we'll kind of deviate from here for our final two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Quarterback on Netflix, check it out if you want to get fired up for the season. Hit me with your next one.
Next one, you're not going to see this coming, but I ended up finally watching The Whale.
Brandon Fraser.
Brandon Fraser's movie came out this year. Brandon Fraser won the Oscar for Best Actor in this movie, and it's about this guy who becomes morbidly obese, absolutely huge guy. He's eating, all self-inflicted, battling with depression. He has a woman who is taking care of him, a nurse that can visit him regularly. He has a great relationship, and he has a daughter he's estranged from, played by Sadie Sink from Stranger Things, who's the redhead. Yeah, she plays his daughter in it, and 95% of the movie takes place in one room. And he's not bedridden. He's couch ridden, but he can move with a walker and some support and that kind of stuff. But it's not like a fun watch. I wouldn't be I felt good watching it. It's really tough to watch, but God damn it, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It pulled at my heartstrings. I can absolutely see why he won Best Actor for it. It was a really, really great story and great movie, and I needed to see it. So that was kind of what I watched.
Makes me want to watch it. You watch it with Heather?
Yeah, we watched it with Heather. She loved it as well. It's just under 2 hours, you know what I mean? So it's not like a huge commitment. And it's
you paid for it? Did you buy it? You rent it, or is it on a service?
I think I rented it on Apple TV.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of came out in August, and I wanted to watch it and just wanted to shout out to Brendan Fraser, because we grew up, and we've talked about this, I think, on other podcasts, we watched Encino Man so many times growing up, and that was one of the movies that kind of catapulted him into things. But then when he did The Mummy, I've seen The Mummy 100 times. It reminded me so much of Indiana Jones, which you can see
Yeah,
in
it
Indiana
was
Jones.
a newer version of Indiana Jones. Same idea. Yeah.
Same idea, and he was awesome, And then he was so good in it. He did some other movies, but he disappeared for maybe he wasn't in anything of note for about 10 or 12 years, and he was battling with some depression issues and stuff. And for him to come back to do this movie, to win the Best Actor award for this movie, it's just a great story for someone who I loved watching growing up.
Yeah, great return to form for him. I hope this has rejuvenated his career, because you can have that next level of an acting career at his age. So it'd be cool to see him in more stuff. I do want to see it. I do fear it is an emotional movie, which I don't shy away from an emotional movie, but like the whole daughter thing, and I'm sure there's like some depression and shame and regret and all kinds of stuff, but it does sound like it's a great movie and probably worth checking out.
I freaking bawled my eyes out. You know what I mean? It was awesome. It was just really, really good. I loved it. And Darren Aronofsky is his name. The guy who did Gravity, did Requiem for a Dream. He's the director behind it. The guy's the man. He's done such weird, great stuff. And this was very different than that feel, because again, it was all in one room. But just an awesome movie. So it's one that's on my list, and that's one I watched. So
yeah. No, thanks for sharing and bringing it back to the top of mind for me. It would be a good one to check out. You said 2 hours?
Yeah, 1 hour and 57 minutes.
Yeah, that's nothing.
It's a good Friday night, Saturday night movie. Yeah, really, really, really good movie.
Love it. Okay, so add that to the list. The next one for me is a big pivot from what you watched in terms of the content, but it was John Wick 4. Finally caught up on John Wick 4, and dude, John Wick's the man. Those movies are shot like, I would love to see, and it's probably on like the extras or whatever, just like how those movies are made. It's almost like, I mean, everyone watching should know what John Wick is. It's basically an assassin. There's this whole world and lore that goes along with it. But I mean, he's basically a one-man wrecking crew that probably kills about 2,000 people per movie. And it's like a big dance. It really is. Like, that's when I'm watching it, I just picture like a big dance, like with how he moves around the screen and, around obstacles and shoots people and bloods. I mean, it's a very gory, I wouldn't say gory, but like it is a graphic movie. We've known people that have tried to watch it and couldn't finish it because they thought it was a little bit much. But in terms of like an action movie, I think John Wick might be one of the best action characters of the decade, I would say, right? I mean, he's a thing at this point.
Keanu Reeves, man. Mm-hmm. The guy is incredible. I have not seen the fourth one. I have seen the other three, and the only reason I just haven't had a chance to get around to watching the fourth. But there's two things about these movies that are amazing. One, you mentioned already, like it's like the choreography of the fighting it's so precise and perfect and beautiful to watch. These fights of him shooting people or using things as weapons is incredible. But then the other thing that I thought is so amazing is the world building. Like this assassin world. What's the hotel?
Continental.
The Continental. Like it's just such a fascinating concept, and this is where like assassins can go to like hang out, and they have these coins that are their currency, and it's a safe haven, but it's only a world that these people know about. It's unbelievable,
and it has all these rules, and there's a lot of like, man, you can't do certain things, and people abide by it. And it's this thought that like anyone you pass on the street could potentially be one of these like assassins, and they're all obviously going after John Wick. And I will say, couple thoughts about it, a couple of additional thoughts is great villains. They've always had like good bad guys, memorable bad guys. At least I thought like very good, a couple very good villains in this one that are just like, they stand out in their performances. They stand out in the way they fight. The fights that they have between each other are awesome, And the other thing is like the music's always very good. There's always like this electronic music soundtrack kind of going in the background with like, lights and beautiful places. So it's just like a fun thing to watch just from that point of view. It feels good to like listen to the music, see the way they move, see, there's always like a dance club scene, there's always some water. There's, always some hallmarks of John Wick movies. I will say though, of all the John Wick movies, and maybe it just speaks to how busy I am, I probably had the hardest time like getting into it. You know, like I wanted to watch this movie for like 3 months, and like it took me a couple sittings, like most movies do. It took me a while to get into it, and once it got going, like I was definitely into it, like I was. But I do fear that the that it's going stale. Yeah, and I don't know that it is. I mean, they're selling a bunch of tickets, making a bunch of money. I heard there's going to be a fifth one. I don't know how true that is, but like I just fear that like okay, as much as they're mixing it up with each sequel, is it enough that it's diminishing returns at this point?
And isn't there a TV show happening? What
I think it's called The Continental.
It's called The Continental.
Is it on Hulu or something?
Oh, I'll look it up as we're talking. But
there's a trailer for it.
Peacock.
Yeah, Peacock. Yeah, there's a trailer for it, so you can
September
watch that.
22nd.
It doesn't look as good as the movies, just because the production value for those movies is so high. But it's a TV show that looks super entertaining. I'll definitely check it out. But I mean, I do like that world. The one just kind of checked it off the list because it's just one of those movies that's right up my alley, and I typically love John Wick movies, so I'm glad to check it out. I definitely recommend that you check it out, and if you've liked the first three John Wicks, you'll definitely like this one too. It's just more of the same.
How old would you say Keanu is? Just guessing, or maybe.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, not knowing anything, I would say like 50. But like, I don't think that that's possible, knowing he was what he was when we were in high school and all the other. I mean, is he 60?
He's 59. And his birthday was yesterday too, so we'll sing happy birthday to him.
He doesn't look like he's. When's his birthday?
It was September 2nd. So.
Oh man, come on!
All these September birthdays.
Oh my god!
But 59. How he moved, and he does. I think a lot of his, but he does a lot of his stunts. Guy, incredible, and we were the biggest Matrix fans in the world, and Speed, and the guy's been in our lives for 30 years, and it's just it's an awesome movie. So
he's awesome. I've seen Keanu. To me, Keanu is John Wick more than he's Neo at this point, which is weird to say, because I thought Neo would be the role that defined him. And it probably is like a 1A, 1B scenario, but I do almost like picture, and it might be recency bias too, but like it's almost like John Wick is his defining role at this point. I might be wrong on that, but that's just kind of.
That's tough. I think the first line of the obituary, God willing, 40 years from now, would be Matrix or John Wick. It's just tough because he looks, looking at him now and how he is in the picture.
Yeah, but the movies are also called John Wick. It's not like the Matrix movies called Neo. People know who Neo is. I don't know. I just feel like John Wick and Keanu Reeves are the same person right now. I know he's nothing like that in real life, but he's an awesome dude from all accounts. But to me, like, they're the same person. Again, it's recently biased probably, but obviously one of the biggest roles, at least biggest two roles for him in his life. Yeah, definitely worth checking out.
I will 100% be checking that out. I will be checking out the TV show too. He's the man, and that is a cash cow. It's what those movies make a ton of money. One of the few superhero movies that dominate. So
they do for sure. I think that movie comes out. I mean, the TV show comes out later on this month. So from what I'm seeing, end of September.
Hopefully, we'll get to see those one of these days in the theater because I've not seen any of them in the theater. Have you?
Same, just at my house.
So that's a great theater movie.
Yep. All right, what else?
Last one. So like last month, I did A Few Good Men. So I did older movies. I'm trying to watch some big movies. This is a twofer. All right. So this is two movies. I'm kind of lumping into one things. All right. So I kind of cheated here, but it's two movies, same theme or topic. But and there's a third one that I've been trying to watch, which I'll tell you about as I get going on it. But two movies I have watched have been Platoon and Full Metal Jacket.
Wow.
So those are two movies I have never seen. Both take place in the Vietnam War. I think Platoon was made in 1986, and Full Metal Jacket was, I think, a little after that.
I've seen neither of them. Tell me about them. Who's like the star who directs them, if they're even noteworthy or not? Like, I need to be able to divide them in my.
So Full Metal Jacket is directed by Stanley Kubrick. So Shining, Clockwork Orange, Space Odyssey, 2001. So those, what's that? He filmed the Moon Landing.
From the Moon Landing.
I don't even know how many times the Moon Landing on your podcast. No, you and Veer talked about it or whatever. We're going to do conspiracy theory talk.
Yeah, that's his biggest movie.
And that's his biggest movie. Most views by far has been Stanley Kubrick's Moon Landing. But yeah, so this one, it kind of like almost takes two movies into one with Full Metal Jacket. It's a lot of stuff from boot camp and training, and there's this staff sergeant here who is, if you see him, you're like, I know that guy. He is like the prototypical staff sergeant, drill sergeant kind of guy, bald, big rimmed hat. You know exactly who he is. He's the one
Slaughter from the WWE.
big chin. Yes, I think Sergeant Slaughter was based off of this guy.
Yeah.
But the other two guys you recognize is Matthew Modine is in it. He's the guy from Stranger Things. He plays like Eleven's like dad, scientist guy, or whatever. And then Vincent D'Afario or whatever. He's the guy that plays Kingpin in Daredevil. Big bald guy. Really good movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was wonderful. It's one of those things you have to see. To me, though, Platoon knocked it out of the water. Platoon was incredible. So Platoon was an Oliver Stone movie, okay?
Okay.
And Charlie Sheen is top billing in this movie.
Okay.
So Charlie Sheen, the big three in this one, and there's a million. You'll recognize everyone. Charlie Sheen, Tom Berenger, right?
Yep.
Tom Berenger, from Major League.
Is he from Major League?
Yeah, the catcher from Major League, and William Dafoe. But this is like Charlie Sheen pre, Tiger Blood, pre like crazy, 2.5 Men, crazy Charlie Sheen. And this takes place all in Vietnam with this follows this one platoon group. And Jesus, man, they make Vietnam look like absolute hell on earth. Like I can't even fathom what the men that went there and did. And Oliver Stone did serve in Vietnam. That's why he kind of made this movie. And it's a very, very dark depiction of what it was like in Vietnam, both where they were fighting and then on the inside of their platoon. And man, it was just incredible. Like it needed like a cold splash of water on your face at the end because it was really tough to watch, but amazing and worth it. So I thought Platoon was way better than Full Metal Jacket in my opinion.
Really interesting. Is that the general consensus on that? Do people generally regard Platoon as better?
Well, here's the one.
I don't know the answer to that.
So Full Metal Jacket is 8.3 rating. Platoon is 8.1 rating. The one that I'm missing, the big one, is Apocalypse Now from Francis Ford Coppola. And that was filmed kind of before these two movies. This was Martin Sheen, David Duvall. That movie cannot be found it's not on any streaming service. You cannot buy it on Amazon. You cannot buy it on Apple TV. You cannot get this movie. You cannot watch this movie. And there's a reason for like viewing rights or something along those lines. So the big three for me was Platoon, Full Metal Jacket, and Apocalypse Now. So Apocalypse Now is always regarded as the best one, but Platoon won Best Picture. And at the Oscars that year, Oliver Stone won Best Director. So that's just kind of my opinion of it. So I've seen some podcasts about Vietnam. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe that I haven't seen those movies. I just can't believe I haven't seen them. It's just I would have thought I would have seen those movies, especially Platoon for some reason. I feel like I might have started it and never got to the end of it, but I love that you always bring an old movie into this because it just reminds me of these classic movies that I haven't seen yet that people I feel like I've seen. Yeah. I feel like it'd be cool to be able to talk about those with other people.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know they're both older movies, but yeah, that's one. Hopefully, I'll get to watch. I'll get to track down Apocalypse Now, but Platoon, Full Metal Jacket, just
I'd be really good. See how you track it down, and then share mention how you eventually get access to it. If it sounds like it's that hard to track down.
Yeah, it's I couldn't. Yeah, could I find it like a bootleg version online? I'm sure I can, but I want to watch it, on a good TV, good sound system and stuff, and watch it that way. But yeah, it's two good movies. That's my last pick.
Love it, dude. All right, I have one last thing, and then we'll be close to wrapping it up. I think I mentioned this to you too. It's another Apple TV Plus show. It's called Foundation. Have you heard of it? Do you have any general awareness of this show?
Just that it's it's like always a top chart show on Apple TV. I think it's number 2 behind Ted Lasso right now. So you told me about it. But tell me about it.
So freaking Apple TV Plus, man. I don't know what it is with them. I just seem to like every show they have. I think they're really strong with science fiction, which again seems to be my thing. I feel like I might lose some people on this, but when Apple TV Plus launched, it was announced that they were going to make this, what is ultimately a book by Isaac Asimov. If you've ever heard of him, he's just like a science fiction author. Like, he's just a very popular name in that, going way back into the 50s. I think he wrote this book called Foundation. And I think it's been historically hard to adapt into a movie or to a TV show. I don't know that anyone's even really tried because it was perceived as so hard, but definitely not like, like when Dune came out last year, there was like a Dune from 1990 or a Dune from before that. Like, I don't think that anything like that exists for this one just because it's too hard. But I watched the first season, which came out in 2021. I don't know that it got like a lot of hype around it, but I watched it because the second season just came out and that's getting more hype. And I wanted to watch the first season, obviously, before the second season. So got through the first season, loved the way it's shot. The main guy that you would recognize is called Jared Harris, and he's the guy from Chernobyl. He's that guy. He's been in.
He was a madman. He's in a lot of stuff. Yeah,
he's in stuff, and he's great in it. There's another guy with long black hair who kind of looks like Tom Hiddleston for some reason, but no one else that you would really recognize. No, not really any even that guys, but it's just like I tend to like things that have worlds, kind of getting back to like John Wick, and that's why I like Star Wars. That's why I like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, whatever that might be. It's just this world that exists beyond whatever you're watching on the screen. And this is one of those things where, there's an empire. It's interesting. There was a bad empire before there was even an empire in Star Wars. Star Wars came kind of after all this, and this was an inspiration for that. This there's just a lot of intricate stories being told over hundreds of years, beautifully shot. If you like science fiction, I think this should move to the top of your list. And I can't wait to watch the second season because, again, I've heard it's even better. So a lot of good stuff. I wish I could do more.
That's awesome. I mean, I know you told me about it, and people have been talking about it. I've heard it from a few other people. And you look at the charts, again, it's number 2. Ted Lasso's number 1. Ted Lasso is just a machine still, even though it hasn't aired in four months. But people are loving that show. And Apple TV, man, they're investing so much money and just knocking out bangers,
Yeah, if you saw the way it's shot, it's almost like, I could see why they would be able to make this show 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Like, some of the stuff is just like incredible to even see it on a TV screen the way it's done. But it's awesome. Definitely check it out. For me, Apple TV Plus is kind of where it's at. I mean, it seems like I'm always watching a couple shows on there. Still got to finish Ted Lasso. Watched Shrinking there last month. There's what else is on Apple TV Plus? There's an invasion show that just
Hijack. That's what we're talking about.
Hijack is on it. So I mean, dude, before we go, I wanted to, I guess maybe top 3 is fine, but where would you rank the streaming services right now? At least what are the big 3 streaming services right now? Because TV doesn't have the subscribers that any of the other ones do, but for me, quality wise and the type of show that I want, it's I'm going to Apple TV ahead of a lot of other things. So what about you?
For me, HBO Max is still number 1. And even though there's nothing, look at shows like, Succession, obviously last month, House of the Dragon, which I obviously love. The one show that I'm going to be hoping to watch before our next one is Winning Time. The Lakers, John C. Reilly, and that sort of stuff. I think HBO is still number 1 for me, and looking at the library of shows and content. But Apple TV is number 2, just because of their content. And then number 3, kind of sneaking up. You know who's number 3 for me right now? I've been going to after it's been a big hiatus. It's been Netflix. I stopped going to Netflix for a while, but this Untold series, which is basically 30 for 30, that has now gone to Netflix, they have some really good sports documentaries and stuff on there. As far as scripted content goes, I haven't watched a lot on Netflix, but their documentaries are really good.
Yeah. Netflix. So my top 3.
Yeah.
It's definitely Apple TV Plus right now, number 1. I would say Netflix number 2. And then beyond that, it probably has to be HBO, just because of, like you said, their catalog. Or honestly, I don't even think HBO is part of their streaming name anymore. I actually think it's just Max.
It's just called Max.
I could be wrong.
Max.
Yeah, which is strange to think that HBO isn't even in the title of what their streaming service is. But it's probably those 3, just given the catalog and the quality of the TV show. But Netflix, dude, they always have stuff that comes out, and it always surprises you that Johnny Manziel doc comes out. There's always something that out of no place you're like, oh, I want to watch that. Oh, I want to watch that, and it's on Netflix. So we typically start there.
Yeah, those are the 3 I'd say. I will say one thing I want.
Disney can't keep up, I don't think, with these, at least in the moment. I do look forward to watching that Ahsoka
Yeah.
show at some point, but it's not. I still haven't even watched the last season of Mandalorian, so I don't know. I don't know where I'm at right now with Star Wars.
So when the hell too are we gonna have the conversation about like? And it sucks. We're huge Disney guys. You're not gonna meet two bigger, middle-aged men that
Yeah,
loved Marvel and Star Wars more than us. But like even me, I'm not up to date with Marvel stuff. I'm not up to date with Star Wars stuff. The content just became too much. And then when you
overwhelming.
fall behind, and then the stuff gets like subpar reviews, like okay reviews, it just kills any like instinct or any hope of like or want of watching it. So we love that stuff, but they really kind of got to figure out some stuff. I think.
Too much. Yeah, I mean, like She-Hulk came out. I think that might have been the first one I stopped watching. That Secret Invasion trailer when that first came out, I was like, shit, that's gonna be freaking amazing. I didn't watch a second of it because I got like some of the worst reviews ever
Mm-hmm.
for a Marvel TV show or Marvel anything. And then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it just the book of Boba Fett for Star Wars was very, very below average in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of sucked out my excitement for Mandalorian, which I think got good reviews in that
Yeah.
third season, but just kind of carrying over. And I don't know that I could put Disney in that top 3 spot for streaming services when I am just not even current with the shows, and I don't know when I even will be. So it probably is those 3, and then Hulu, Disney are probably
Yep.
on the outside, and then further below is maybe Peacock and Paramount Plus or something along those lines.
Prime still has they
Prime,
some,
yeah, Prime actually might be in that next tier for me. There's some stuff I like on Prime.
yeah. Yeah, but it's there's so much stuff right now. You kind of just wait to see what's getting buzz, and
Mhm.
there's I don't see any like big one on the horizon. Besides House of the Dragon for me, but the writer's strike, everything's being delayed. Dune is now being delayed. So really, I'm gonna have to go back and start watching some older things. So,
Yeah. Yeah, maybe for next month I'll try to squeeze an older one in there too. We got some other stuff that we talked about that hopefully I'll have watched by then. But now that we're through the end of summer, I mean, I was gone 2 weekends in a row camping and some other travel. It's like it's hard to squeeze in what we even squeezed in August. But I think September will be a little bit better of a month to catch up on stuff.
I know.
Before we go, is there anything that you're looking forward specifically to watching in this September, like that's really got you excited?
I kind of mentioned it. Winning time is kind of jumped up for me, and I need to watch that. That is the cast of that is just ridiculous. John C. Riley, Jason Segel, Adrian Brody. 2 seasons about the Lakers. This season, I know specifically is a lot about the Lakers Celtics rivalry. They have a Larry Bird casted. They have Auerbach guy casted. So, and that is how that one is filmed, like in 1970s style cameras,
Yeah.
and that sort of stuff. It's so unique. So that's kind of number 1 on my list. And then right now, again, I'm kind of watching the Untold on Netflix called Swamp Kings, which is a 4-part documentary series about the Florida Gators and Tim Tebow and Urban Meyer and their run that they had from like 06 to 2010. And I don't watch a ton of college football, but I always enjoy college football docs. So those are the 2 right now. How about you?
By the time we record next month, I'll have finished the first season of The Bear, which some people will have heard about. That's critically acclaimed. That's been good so far. And probably watch Foundation season 2, which I'll have an update on for that. And there's a couple other things going on. Guess what we got our tickets for last week? Coming up, movie-wise.
What?
The T Swift Eras Tour movie.
Oh my! Did you see that? That ticket sales, free ticket sales for Taylor Swift's Eras Tour bypass Avengers Endgame. When it's
insane.
It's crazy. She can't miss.
I wasn't even get tickets for this. Anyone that doesn't know, this is actually an October thing, so we'll talk about this maybe at some point. But like in October, Taylor Swift's concert series that she just finished up in LA a few weeks back is coming out as a movie on movie theaters on the weekend of October 13th, 14th, 15th. I don't know if it's going on beyond that. It'd be stupid if it stopped just after that weekend. But pre-orders opened up for tickets. It's going to be an IMAX. And I wasn't going to buy it. I saw the email because I always get the emails. And then all the girls had me in the car one day like, I want to go. So it's Ellie's birthday weekend, but I bought tickets for 5 of us to go to the Sunday IMAX in Saco. So we'll be watching that.
I cannot wait to hear what the vibe is like at this thing. And so, like, is it like everyone standing? Like, Is it gonna be like I don't know
Like,
what?
he's gonna like constantly on his feet the whole time. I don't know, dude. Honestly, nothing would surprise me at this point. But I know what her. I love this. I can't believe we're talking about this. It's funny. The Reputation tour video is on Netflix. I assume it'll be just kind of like that, just a concert from beginning to end, a bunch of different angles, and the music will be great. I mean, I've watched that about 100,000 times in the past few months, so I kind of know what I'm in for.
Is it a three? Because the concert's 3.5 hours. So
Yeah, it's
is
like
it
2:45 is what it says.
okay?
I don't know if they're cleaning some stuff up, but it says 2:45 runtime. You know what I would love if they incorporated like some behind the scenes stuff. I mean, it's just going to be the concert, but I would love to see like her arriving at the stadium kind of thing, her getting
Yeah,
out behind the scenes, just like what it's like. Because man, her life is fascinating to me. Because I don't know I can't imagine what it's like for her to get like whisked into these stadiums, perform, whisked out, flying all over the place. I mean, this is like as big as it gets for any type of concert or event at this point. She's living a different
yeah.
kind of life right now, that's for sure.
It's insane. I'm so excited for you guys, and I can't wait to hear about it. Yeah, she's a machine. So we should end
That's
every
funny.
single one of our podcasts by just talking like a 5-minute Taylor corner or whatever.
This is the Swift block. Do you want to know something funny? How many movies do you think that I've bought tickets for in my life a month before it hit theaters?
Zero. They really don't make sense.
Only time I've ever done that. And this is why it's breaking records, because like you got a bunch of moms and dads that want to get tickets for their kids. And it's funny, dude. I've never bought a ticket for a movie maybe more than a week or 2 out, maybe for like in-game type stuff. You really want to get your seat, and that's fine. But like, dude, this is October 13th that this movie is coming out. We're going on October 15th. It's early September right now. It's a month and a half away. I've already bought movie tickets, so it's freaking wild.
I can't wait to hear about it. That's insane. We'll probably have another pod before then, so let you all maybe you can show us some outfits you might wearing to it.
Well, as we're wrapping up, dude, we did talk about doing an Emmy little preview pod, which we'd have to record if you're still up for it. So it'd be nice to get something out mid-month, have a little bit of fun with that, make some Emmy predictions.
The Emmys are coming up. I believe they're airing next Sunday. I'm almost positive, and the categories are stacked, like unbelievably stacked. I don't know who can win. I would love to do a quick pod about all the categories, pick our winners, and then see how we do. So
we'll do rehashables this week, Emmy preview next week, and
awesome.
We should do that. So, anyways, fun one, dude. Love the list. Look forward to what we do next month. So, thanks for coming on as always.
All right, bud. Thanks for having me.